All right, welcome back to Empowered Esquire TV. As you can see, we are doing something a little different with our timing today, right? I had hoped to have an expose up for you. If you've been following the community tab, though, you know that I've had some uploading issues with the expose. And so I'm hoping to have that up by the end of the week. But in the meantime, I am back for another live episode with you all. So, as you can see from the title, we are going to be discussing Floyd Mayweather and friends. And so, before we dive into it, I want to play for you a brief video regarding what has happened. I believe it's about a minute or so long, and it is from a Turkish broadcast service. I wanted to find a news channel discussing, the Mayweather and Kim K situation. Before we get into it, so I did find at least, this Turkish news broadcast discussing it. So we get a journalist's perspective before we dive into the legal perspective, right? All right. And hello to Rockin' with the Truth. Nice to see you. All right. So I'm going to share my screen. You guys, I almost forgot that you could hear me. And I I was about to start humming. You know when you have a song stuck in your head? Yeah. Thank goodness I didn't just start humming. Okay, here we go. You should be able to hear my audio.
I believe that it's going to be, another cryptocurrency that's going to be just as large as Bitcoin someday. It's okay. That's no different from Uber and Lyft.
Okay, so now that you've gotten a bit of an intro, no, we do not want to play anything automatically. Now that you've gotten a bit of an intro as to what's going on. From a journalist perspective, we can have more of the legal conversation. Hello to Nappy Yankee. Hello to Truth Strong. Nappy Yankee, thank you for the reminder regarding the disclaimer. There is a disclaimer regarding fair use in the description of this video, so that should cover it. But yes, fair use, fair use, fair use. Okay. All right. Hello to Doug. Long time no see. Hey, Doug. How are ya? How you been? All righty. So let's talk for a moment about the video that we just saw. So, if for some reason you're totally new to cryptocurrency, which by the way, that is totally fine, you may be wondering to yourself, well, what is the big to do, right? What's the problem? What's the issue here? So, the gist of what has occurred is that there's a certain type of cryptocurrency that was being promoted by Floyd Mayweather and some of his friends, right? As we'll get into. And now it is being accused that this promotion of this cryptocurrency was a quote unquote pump and dump scheme, right? So we're going to hop into an article about this lawsuit, and then we're going to talk about what a pump and dump scheme is. Because again, if you're not as familiar with cryptocurrency, maybe not as familiar with investing, you may be wondering, well, what is a pump and dump scheme? Right? So let's really dive into those things. Let me get back into the chat and say hello to some of you. Hello to PMB. What's up, LA? How are you? I have yet to make a trip over there, at least not in my adult life. I've been over in Cali as a child. And I'm really excited about hopefully doing that this year. So let me know. And it's the funniest thing because I've traveled to all these different countries and random remote areas in different countries, but haven't been to California as an adult. Isn't that funny? It's very interesting. Hello to Mixtress Monica, and hello to Pseudo Charlatans. Interesting name. Touré. All righty. So let me dive into the article that we have queued up. And then we're going to get into, as I said, what a pump and dump scheme is. If you have any questions for me along the way, feel free to drop your questions in the chat. So let me queue up the link for you, because I always have my links. Alrighty, I'm going to copy that. And so I am going to actually paste the link to this article. Well, should I do that? You know what? Not yet. Not yet. I'll give you the link to this article after we discuss it together. All right. And as Nappy Yankee so graciously reminded me, fair use, fair use. Okay. PMB said I should come through. It's in the 70s, huh? I'm going to make that happen, PMB. I'm really going to make that happen. I'm going to do a solo trip to Cali for sure this year. I've been saying it for a while, and I'm going to make it happen this year. All righty. So here we are. We are in the Hollywood Reporter in their Esquire section. So this is where they discuss a lot of legal issues and legal cases in pop culture. Okay. All right. So here we go. Kim Kardashian and Floyd Mayweather have been sued by cryptocurrency investors. Paul Pierce is also amongst the defendants in this case. Okay, let's get into it. Kim Kardashian, Floyd Mayweather, and Paul Pierce are being sued for allegedly duping investors in a cryptocurrency scam. The lawsuit, which accuses the stars of misleading their followers in a pump and dump scheme, claims that the celebrities convinced their fans to buy Ethereum Max tokens, only to sell them once their value was inflated. They were allegedly paid in tokens for their sponsorships and exited with substantial gains, leaving investors holding the bag, the lawsuit claims. Now, what you have just heard is everyone what a pump and dump scheme is. It is when you have someone with influence influencing people to buy into a certain stock. In this case, it was cryptocurrency, right? And thereby raising the value of that stock, because that person already has in mind that once their influence has caused this raise in the value, they can then leave with a massive profit. But remember, when this person leaves, they're harming the value of the same stock that they just, led to this great inflation of, right? But that doesn't matter to the person in question because they're leaving with a massive um, profit. Okay. Now, disclaimer, as you all know, the title at the end of my name is ESQ, right? That's Esquire. I am not a financial advisor. I am not a financier. I am not an investment banker, an investor, a coach of any type of financial nature at all. Okay. So, if anything that I say throughout this conversation regarding the investment portion is not to your opinion or to your knowledge totally accurate, please feel free to join the conversation. And if you like financial content, I recommend oh my goodness, what is his name? Let me look it up. Um Pocket Watching with JT, of course, but there's someone else. He changed his YouTube name recently, I think. Let me see. Shoot. I think his name used to be Common Sense, right? But what is it now? Is it something different? I'm Googling it, you guys. What happened to Common Sense? Okay, it's the same name. So check out Pocket Watching with JT or What Happened to Common Sense if you know that you want more financial information. Okay, that's not my title. That's not what I do. Alrighty. Okay, so I'm gonna peep into the chat very quickly. Uh-oh, this article you guys should have told me the article was so tiny. Good thing I checked it out. Hello to Sis Zakia and hello to Man King. How's everybody in the chat doing? How are y'all? All right. Hello to Every Time I See Your Name. This one right here. Every time I see this name, I bust out laughing between the name and the avatar. Hello, a bit time. How are you doing tonight? You always give me a good laugh. Okay, so let's dive back into this article, shall we? Okay. Defendants touted the prospects of the company and the ability for investors to make significant returns due to favorable tokenomics of the EMAX tokens. Okay, so remember, defendants, Floyd Mayweather, Kim Kardashian, Paul Pierce et al., etc., right? And others. In truth, defendants marketed the EMAX tokens to investors so they could sell their portion of the float for a profit. So remember what we just discussed. The whole pump and dump scheme accusation entails that when this person with influence is touting this stock, right? They already have in mind that once they inflate the value, they're going to leave. That's part of the alleged scheme. Okay? The class action complaint was filed on behalf of New York resident John T. Janosch of Scott and Scott Attorneys at Law LLP, and they are representing people who bought tokens from May 14th to June 27th of 2021. The complaint details an allegedly fraudulent business model under which Erythrea Max conspired with celebrities to misleadingly promote its token with the expectation that people involved in the scheme could sell their interest once its value was artificially inflated. Okay, here's some things to unpack in that, right? Teaching moment. A class action complaint. So, a class action complaint, everyone, is a lawsuit that is filed by a group of people. It is filed by an entire, you got it, class. Now, in order to file a class action lawsuit, there are some things that the class has to have in common, right? They have to have injuries that stem from some sort of common offense, some sort of common root, right? And some sort of group of factual things that tie all of their causes of action together. So that means that a class of people filing a complaint or a lawsuit together, they could be of different races, they could be of different genders, different economic backgrounds, right? All of those things could be different. What is important is that they have injuries that, as I said, what? Stem from factual events that have created similar causes of action. So that's a bunch of legalese, right? So, what does that mean in a practical perspective? Well, here's what that means. That means that if PMB takes a let's call it a linko pill. I just made up a random name. So if PMB takes a linko pill, and linko pills are supposed to help you sleep, but instead she ends up getting this really terrible migraine, right? And thereafter she gets migraines for weeks after taking this pill. And PMB decides, well, you know what? I'm going to sue the company that creates these linko pills. Well, let's say Doug takes a linko pill. He also develops horrible migraines and says, I want to sue the company that creates these linko pills, right? And then Nappy Yankee takes the linko pill. He also gets these horrible migraines and he says, what? I want to sue the company that creates these linko pills. Nappy Yankee lives in New York. PMB, I think you said you're from LA, right? And just for the purposes of this example, Doug lives in Louisiana, right? These three people live in totally different places. They all have totally different careers and sources of income. Let's say they're all different races as well, and they're also different genders. But that doesn't matter. What matters is they are all suing for the physical and emotional injury that they incurred after they took this linko pill and got these horrible migraines. So that is how class action works, right? It's an entire group of people suing because their injury stems from the same type of offense, right? Of course, committed by the same party. Got it? Okay. So class action complaint, right? And again, they go into the pump and dump allegations. The allegations that these celebrities promoted this erythrium to pump up, right? To raise, to inflate the value of erythrium with the knowledge, with the scheme that once they inflated the value, they would sell, make a profit, and walk away. Okay. And yes, take the advice of a bit tired. A bit tired. I just can't. I love it. Smash that like button. The like is free. The like is free. Doesn't cost you a thing. And while you're at it, go ahead and share this video and subscribe. Also, two things that don't cost you a thing. All right. Diving back into our article here. All right, so now we get into exactly what each person supposedly did. So on June 14th, Kardashian posted for her 250 million followers on Instagram. Pause. 250 million people follow Kim Kardashian on Instagram? What is she posting that 250 million people want to look at Kim Kardashian post pictures of herself? Wow. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Okay. Back into my broadcasting voice. On June 14th, Kim Kardashian posted for her 250 million followers on Instagram an ad for Erythrium Max, which has no connection to established cryptocurrency Erythrium. Are you guys into crypto? Question mark, question mark. This is not financial advice, but sharing what my friends just told me about the Erythrium Max token. A few minutes ago, Erythrium Max burned 400 trillion tokens, literally 50,000 of their admin wallet, giving back to the entire Emax community. Swipe up to join the Emax community, the Kardashian post states. The lawsuit claims that the post had tremendous reach. A survey by financial services company Morning Consult found that up to 21% of all American adults and nearly half of all cryptocurrency owners had seen the ad, and that 19% of respondents invested in Erythrium Max as a result. Now, here, everyone, we're going to have yet another teaching moment. So you may be thinking to yourself, okay, let's say hypothetically, Kim Kardashian did mention this token, right? Mention Erythrium Max. Well, what does it matter? What does it matter that she mentioned it? How can they quantify that her influence is how we got to people buying Erythrium Max? Well, everyone, this is how you quantify, right? You get a company such as Morning Consult to do a study in which they can actually quantify how many people Kim Kardashian reached and how many people purchased Erythrium because of her um, endorsement of it, if you will. Okay. And you have to make this connection to have a valid lawsuit, everyone. Remember, you always have to have causation. A plaintiff always has to prove that the actions of the defendant caused their injury. Always, always, always. Okay. I want to take a quick moment here to highlight a comment. Sis Zakia says, now it makes sense why Floyd is chummy chummy with no light Michael. Birds of a feather. Ellipsis. By the way, if you may not know what an ellipsis is, everyone, that dot dot dot, that's an ellipsis. Okay. Now, now, Sis Zakia, here you are with this very poignant and insightful comment. You know, many of you may have been wondering, why would someone who is seemingly above board allegedly allow someone who is seemingly way below the board? Okay, I mean, so far below, we're not even going to go there, allegedly, to use his car, his Rolls Royce, allegedly, to go to his events, to hang out with him, to commiserate with him, right? You may have been thinking that. And if you were thinking that, this might just be your answer. You know, it may just be that people do tend to commiserate with people that they are in league with, that they are like minded with, but that some have been caught while others just were not caught yet. Interesting. Thank you for that commentary, Sis Zakia. All right. We're back into it. I'll put myself in the little, little corner here. Okay. Charles Randall, chair of the United Kingdom's Financial Conduct Authority, remarked that this post was the financial promotion with the single biggest audience reach in history. This meteoric rise did not last long, however, with Erythrium Max beginning to deflate immediately after Kardashian's post. Okay. Now, they say that allegedly Erythrium then suffered a 98% drop from which it has not been able to recover. Mayweather and Pierce had similar roles in the alleged scam, according to the lawsuit. On May 26, former NBA player Paul Pierce promoted Erythrium Max in a widely discussed post on Twitter amid a dispute between him and ESPN. Erythrium Max announced on the same day that it was the exclusive cryptocurrency accepted for online ticket purchasing for for the fight between Mayweather and Logan Paul. All right. It goes on to say that the lawsuit argues that Mayweather violated a 2018 settlement with the SEC, okay, that's the Securities and Exchange Commission, over failing to disclose payments he received for promoting a fraudulent cryptocurrency. Okay. And then they get into a quick little snippet about other legal issues that Kim Kardashian has had before they give us the good stuff, right? The actual documents filed in this lawsuit. You know, we love to look at the actual documents here on Empowered Esquire TV. So let's take a moment. I am going to take a water break and I'm going to allow you all to put into the chat any questions you might be having thus far. Hello to Trip C. How are you doing, Trip C? Alrighty. And so, thus far, based on what everyone has heard, do we have a good kind of grasp of what a pump and dump scheme is? If you feel like you really have a handle on the whole, pump and dump scheme, put a one in the chat. If you think you need some more explanation, put a two in the chat. I'll give you all a moment. Alrighty, so I see Sis Zakia in the chat with a question. She says, why was Mayweather the only one sued if all three were pushing the scheme? So if you look at the document here, right, the actual lawsuit document, I wonder if we can no, we can't. Okay. So if you look at the actual document here, right, and you look at the defendants, you can see that all three of them are named defendants, right? Steve Gentile, Giovanni Peroni, Justin French, Kimberly Kardashian, Floyd Mayweather, Paul Pierce. Okay. So they are all named in the lawsuit. Okay. Oh, and then Sis Zakia edited her comment, if you will. Alrighty. So I see everyone pretty much saying that you think you have a handle on pump and dump schemes and what they are. Okay, so we'll go through the suit, and then later on I'll give you all a link to a page on investor.gov where if you do feel like you want some more explanation, you can do a little bit more research on pump and dumps and what they are. Okay. All right, so now you see here the plaintiff, right? Ryan Hugerich and others similarly situated, right? That's how you know that it is a class action complaint, okay? And then you see over here, class action complaint, okay? You see all of the defendants here. Now, let me explain to you the John Doe part, okay? And I've also had this conversation before with Diva on the channel when we talk about these R. Kelly lawsuits, okay? John Doe, whenever you see a John Doe listed as a defendant on a lawsuit, it means that the plaintiff is aware that there are other people who are also responsible, but that the plaintiff does not yet know the names of these people. And so what usually happens is that during discovery, right, the plaintiff is then able to discover, you like what I did there? Discover who these other people are, meaning what their names are. So the John Doe is just used as a placeholder. Okay. All righty. So you see John Doe 1 through 10. So we see some placeholder defendants. So we know more people will be sued. Okay. Now the plaintiff goes into his initial introduction of who he is, right? He tells the court that he's filing a class action complaint. He lists his defendants, and then he lets the court know everything that is in this complaint is based upon what? His own factual knowledge, an investigation that his attorney completed, right? And the information and belief that there are further factual information, further knowledge that is in the possession of defendants. Now, it is very important that the plaintiff tell the court that, right? Here is why. Plaintiff has to attest. In the legal world, it's called attest, right? To the information that he or she is alleging in their complaint. They have to tell the court, hello, court, I, as the plaintiff here, am saying that I believe these things to be true. And so here, that's what Ryan Hugerich is saying. He's telling the court, I've done my due diligence as best I can. I've investigated as best I can, and everything that is in this complaint, I believe to be the truth. Okay? Another teaching moment. Okay. Then we get into the nature of the case. He then discusses exactly why he is bringing this lawsuit. Okay. This second paragraph here is the juice. This case arises from a scheme among various individuals in the cryptocurrency sector to misleadingly promote and sell the digital asset associated with Ethereum to unsuspecting investors. The company's executives, collaborating with several celebrity promoters, A, made false or misleading statements to investors, B, disguise their control over Ethereum Max and a significant percent of the EMAX tokens. Okay, so plaintiff is going straight for the gusto. He's saying, hey, listen, there was a scheme, Your Honor, between these celebrities with this massive influence and the people who are behind Ethereum Max. All of them came together knowing that they owned a significant portion of Ethereum to inflate it by promoting it to the public. Okay. Now, in furtherance of this scheme, right, paragraph 3 goes on to allege that defendants touted the prospects of the returns that Ethereum could make those who invested. Okay. They then go on to say that Ethereum did, during a certain period, have an extreme inflation in its worth, right? That's the pump time. That's the inflation time, right? Remember, the dump time is when everything goes down into the dumps after people have already sold it. Okay. He then lets the court know that he is bringing this action as a class action. He then gets into who he is, right? Who all of the defendants are. And this is a bit of the juice as well. We find out who some people are. We know who Kim Kardashian is. We know who Floyd Mayweather is, right? But check this out. Steve Gentile. Steve Gentile is the co-founder and creator of Ethereum Max. Aha. Giovanni Peroni. Peroni is the co-founder and creator of Ethereum Max. Aha. Okay, so we see that in furtherance of his allegation that there's this big scheme, he's suing the people behind Ethereum as well as the celebrities who promoted Ethereum. All righty. We know who Kim Kardashian and Paul Pierce is, right? Da 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 da. Okay. And here we have it, paragraph 14. Defendants John Doe's 1 through 10 are persons who participated, but whose identities are currently unknown to plaintiff. Okay. All right. I am in the chat. Hello to Clout Daddy. And hello to everyone else who has joined us. I want to say thank you to all of you, for rocking with me and being so supportive. I hop on here when I can. I'm not a YouTuber or as some people in this on this platform would say, I'm not a big time, big YouTuber. if you know who said that, then you're gonna get the giggle, right? You'll get the gag. I'm not a big YouTuber. But when I get a chance, when I get a second, when I get a moment, I love to come on here and hang out with you guys and talk about the law, enrich you with the legal knowledge as you enrich me with your insight. A bit tired is laughing. She knows, she gets the gag. I'm not a big YouTuber. but I'm on here every so often, someone else gets the gag. Oh goodness. Woo! That man is something else. Okay. Back into the lawsuit documents, okay? So jurisdiction and venue. As we always discuss, the plaintiff has what? The burden of proof, right? The plaintiff has the BOP. And part of that burden is proving to the court that they actually have jurisdiction, meaning they have authority over whatever the issue is, right? And that they're the right court, they're the right venue, the right place to be. We always discuss this when we go through these complaints, okay? So Plaintiff Hugerich does that here. He tells them exactly why they should be where they are. Then he gets into the background of Ethereum Max here in his factual allegations. He starts kind of discussing what Ethereum Max is. Okay, now remember, ESQ, okay, that's me, not financier, okay, not investment coach, not investment banker, okay, not what happened to common sense, and not pocket watching with JT. Okay, so all of this here, this paragraph 18, okay, we're going to just let that be what it is. Okay, EMAX tokens, got it. Okay. Now, they go on to say that at the time of the launch, right, and throughout the period that they're calling the relevant period, we're here in paragraph 20, EMAX tokens were not sold pursuant to what is called a white paper. They then explained that white papers in cryptocurrency are documents released by the founders of the project, which would give investors technical information about its concept and a roadmap for how it plans to grow and succeed. Okay. So, in case that all sounds like a bunch of mumbo jumbo to you, okay, and you're not getting it yet, let me help you. Right here in paragraph 20, this plaintiff is pretty much saying that these Erythrea Max people, they pulled an Umar Johnson, okay? They pulled a Jay Morrison. They pulled a just give me your money, don't worry about it, okay? Just run me the money and don't worry about it. There was not paperwork that explained and described any plan for growth, nor paperwork that explained and described the technology behind Erythrea Max. Okay, so in other words, they could just change the names here from Peroni and what was the other guy's name? Gentile to Johnson and Morrison. Okay, allegedly. Alrighty. Now we see here a little footnote, right? More on Erythrea Max. They go further into the history of Erythrea Max. Remember, all of this is necessary because they have to establish all of the things that happened that led up to their injury. So, all of this, although not necessary for our purposes, right? Totally necessary for plaintiff to include. Okay. Then they get into the pump, right? So promoter defendants who sold pretty much by way of endorsing Erythrea. Then they go into specifically detailing what each celebrity defendant did. Again, they have to do this, you all, because as plaintiff, Hugh Rich has the burden of proof. He has to specifically detail what each person did. If he doesn't do that, he's not meeting his burden of proof. Okay. Paragraph 28, he starts discussing what Paul Pierce did. He says that Paul Pierce allegedly went onto the social media platform Twitter, during which he began to discuss Erythrea Max. Allegedly, here in line 16, defendant Pierce publicly slammed ESPN while conversely praising Erythrea Max's ability to make money for him. Interesting. Okay. And then they posted Paul Pierce's tweet where he says, at ESPN, I don't need you. I got at Erythrea Max. I made more money with this crypto in the past month than I did with y'all in a year. Truth shall set you free. Laughing emoji, my own boss. I'm sorry, but for some reason that entire tweet to me is hilarious. Okay. Then they get into Floyd Mayweather. Let me hop in the chat and see if there's any questions thus far. Does anyone have any questions for me thus far about anything that we have read in this suit? No, no. I don't see any. Mixtures Monica said, oh no, he didn't. LOL. Are we talking about Paul Pierce? Because Paul Pierce is something else. I mean, I'm not going to go there. Not going to get off topic. We're going to stay on topic. All righty. Let's get back into it. So they go into Floyd Mayweather and his promotion of Erythreum. They discuss that Erythreum was an accepted cryptocurrency for the highly anticipated, we're here in line 16, Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul pay-per-view fights, right, which occurred in Miami Gardens, Florida. Okay. Now it then went on to further detail how Mayweather was involved, right? It discusses that Mayweather offered incentives for those who were purchasing tickets with Emax, right? He offered them an authentic pair of signed boxing gloves, ringside tickets, right? And even a 10% discount. So he did actively encourage people to use Emax tokens. Again, These details are important. Okay. Alrighty. And I think they may have already discussed Kim Kardashian. Did they? I think so. I think they already discussed Kim Kardashian, right? And then they get into some further accusations regarding Gentile and Peroni. Okay. Um, you all know that I don't tend to go through each and every single line of these complaints, but I always give you the link and or the information to find it yourself if you do want to do a line by line. I quite frankly would love to do line by lines with you guys of these complaints, but to be honest with you, the YouTube community at large is not interested in line by line reviews of these complaints. Okay? And Mixture said, yes, she is talking about Paul Pierce. Sis Zakia says, never trash to your old employer. You never know. Well, it's true. That's true. You never know. Rocking with the Truth says they're getting their money right while making sure others lose money. Good looking out. Allegedly, that is what they did. And let me tell you, if these allegations are true, it is disheartening, right? Because these are people who, in the grand scheme of things, are already wealthy. So to think that they would be in a position where they are already wealthy and seek to get more wealthy by causing the average person to lose money, um, that is very disheartening. If these allegations are true, it really does come off as very callous behavior. It really does. Okay. Back into our complaint here, we see they dig in on Gentile and Peroni, and then here in paragraph 40, they get to Kim Kardashian. Okay, and we see her little post here. We already know what she put in the post, right? So no need to rehash. Okay. And now they go into the morning consult here, starting around line 8, paragraph 42, right? Where they discuss how the morning consult has pretty much validated that Kim Kardashian was able to reach a large number of people who then decided to buy this EMAX token. Okay. They also get into Kim Kardashian's history. Interesting. They discussed it in 2015. We're here in paragraph 45. She had an issue with the FDA for supposedly promoting this medicine, if you will, that was supposed to help morning sickness. Okay. And now they go into some more Mayweather accusations. And apparently Mayweather made multiple statements about Erythrea Max. Okay. So allegedly, he was also on Twitter telling people to hurry up and get Erythrea Max and telling them interesting. Okay. And they go into a previous settlement that defendant Mayweather had in another issue with the SEC, which we are already aware of. Okay. Now they highlight the dump, right? So when EMAX tokens took this huge plunge, they get into the fact that EMAX was already pretty much beginning to plunge very shortly after Kim Kardashian posted her post. Okay. Now, they then get into the trading volume. Okay. And here in paragraph 51, they say the promoter defendant's improper promotional activities generated the trading volume needed for the defendants to offload their EMAX tokens onto unsuspecting investors. While plaintiff and class members were buying EMAX, defendants were able to and did sell EMAX. Okay. So listen to the accusation. The accusation is that while Floyd Mayweather and Kim Kardashian and Paul Pierce were promoting EMAX and the average person was buying it, Kim Kardashian and Floyd Mayweather and Paul Pierce and all these people, they were actually selling it. Remember, that is how a pump and dump works. Okay. Alrighty, so they go more into the regulations and then they go into the class allegations, which really are going to just be more of the same. Now, here they do talk about what binds the class, right? Why the class is a class. Now, remember earlier, I said class doesn't have to entail race, gender, any of those things. It just has to have a certain type of commonality. Okay. Here we are. Here's a teaching moment. Paragraph 61, line 19. Common questions of law and fact exist as to all members of each class. Okay? So remember that. That is the tie that binds. That is what makes a class a class. Common questions of law and fact. Remember our example with the Linko pill, right? It doesn't matter where Doug comes from, where Nappy Yankee comes from, where PMB comes from, right? None of that is relevant. What's relevant is they have common questions of law and fact because they all are suing after taking this Linko pill and having these horrible migraines. That is what matters. You have your common questions of law because they're all going to be suing under the same causes of action, right? With the same type of injury. And then you have your common questions of fact because they're all alleging that it is the Linko pill that caused these migraines. Same thing here. You have your common questions of law because everyone in the class is going to be alleging that these defendants had a scheme, that they had a pump and dump scheme, right? And you have your common questions of fact because they are all going to be alleging that all of these celebrities were in cahoots with Peroni and Gentile to scheme these people. So that is how you get a class that can then do what? File a class action lawsuit. Okay. All righty. So we can just kind of breeze past this, right? They get into some other elements of classes, typicality, adequacy, right? But those things are not really the prominent tie that binds. Okay. They get into their causes of action and what laws they are alleging was broken, right? So, first, they say that the California unfair competition law was violated. Okay. And that is a law in the state of California, right? We're here in paragraph 73, which prohibits inter alia any unlawful, unfair, or fraudulent business act or practice, and unfair, deceptive, untrue, or misleading advertising. Now I'm going to have a lawyer moment. Inter alia, some of the things that you will learn in law school if ever you endeavor to go is a lot of random Latin phrases, okay? Inter alia means among other things. So here, let's swap it out. Which prohibits, among other things, any unlawful, unfair, or fraudulent business act or practice, and unfair, deceptive, untrue, or misleading advertising. Okay. So, pretty much this law in California just says, hey, listen, it is illegal for you to lie to people when you're doing business with them. You have to be above board, you have to be transparent and honest, and you cannot mislead them with the way that you are selling them this investment or this product. Pretty simple. Okay. Second cause of action alleges that defendants violated the California Consumers Legal Remedies Act. Okay, we're going to get into that. Let me hop in the chat and see if I have any further questions before I get into that. Nappy Yankee says Mayweather's love of money will be his downfall. This plus his daughter's impending legal issues. You know, the love of money is an interesting thing because you see people who you would think they have more than enough. And you would think, well, with what they have, they must be satisfied, right? But they're not. And that's the part that is so intriguing about having a large amount of financial resources, right? That it seems that the more that a person acquires, it is the more that they want. Hmm, interesting. Okay, so I'm back into the complaint. I'm here in paragraph 79. Um, California Civil Code prohibits inter alia. Remember what inter alia means? You know what? Let me put it in the chat. I hate when you guys can hear the clickety clackety click clack clackety the clackety clack. But I love when you can look in the chat and see what I'm saying. You know what I mean? When you got the visual to match the verbal, Okay. So inter alia, among other things. Okay, so here we go. Da, 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 da. Paragraph 79, line 25. California Civil Code, which prohibits inter alia, various methods of unfair or deceptive acts or practices undertaken by any person in a transaction intended to result or that results in the sale or lease of goods or services to any consumer. Okay, so really not too much different from what we just heard, right? The past laws seem to focus on someone that you could be doing business with, right? Whereas this law focuses on consumers, so someone you're selling a product to. But it is saying the same thing. It is saying, hey, listen, in the state of California, you cannot lie to someone or mislead someone about your product to get them to buy your product. Okay, fair enough. Third cause of action, aiding and abetting. Interesting. Okay, I gotta tell you, you learn about aiding and abetting in terms of a tort in law school, but I have never actually seen it in a lawsuit. Haha, this is interesting. Okay. And by the way, if you're new here, because if you're an OG, you're a total like, god and goddess of the law, and But if you're a newbie, a tort is a an offense to your person, right? It's a personal injury, if you will. All righty. I'll put this up there. Inter alia, among other things. Okay. Now let me hop back into this aiding and abetting. Okay, so this might be a bit of a stretch, you guys, because as I said, I've never actually seen it in a lawsuit. Okay, here we go. Paragraph 87, line 17. Under California law, liability may be imposed on one who aids and abets the commission of an intentional tort. Okay, so in other words, in California, if somebody is doing something illegal and knowing that it is going to hurt someone and you help them, you can be held responsible. Here's how. If the person A knows that the other's conduct constitutes a breach of duty and gives substantial assistance or encouragement, and B, if the person gives substantial assistance to the other in accomplishing the tortious result, okay, the tortious result, and the person's own conduct constitutes a breach of duty. Okay, so either of these are good enough. So, in other words, as I said, you can help someone who is hurting someone else intentionally and be found liable of aiding and abetting, or you yourself can just be actively harming that person in concert with, in league with, along with somebody else and be held liable. Okay, now let's put that into our example. Well, what does that mean? Well, here's what that means. That means that Kim Kardashian, that Floyd Mayweather, that Paul Pierce, right, can be held liable for all of the things that Peroni and Gentile have done. All of the things that Peroni and Gentile have done that have harmed Hugh Rich and any other plaintiff, all those celebrities can be held accountable for it. Why? Because they knew that Peroni and Gentile, they allegedly knew that Peroni and Gentile's actions were something that could cause harm. And all of this was being done intentionally, knowing that it could bring about the harm, right? And so, because they knew under California law, they are considered to be aiding and abetting Peroni and Gentile, and they're considered to be just as responsible as Peroni and Gentile are. Okay. Alrighty, fourth cause of action, unjust enrichment, which that is basic. That is just when something wrong is done and then the person benefits from that wrong. Okay. And then you have your prayer for relief, which is the section of the complaint in which the plaintiff tells the court what it is they're hoping to get out of this lawsuit, right? Plaintiff says very clearly, I'd like us to be considered to be a class. I'd like myself, Hugh Rich, to be appointed as the representative of my class. And I would like us to be awarded damages for what, has happened to us. I'd like us to be awarded monetary relief and declaratory. Oh, I said it right. Listen, you guys know it's my bedtime. And declaratory relief, as well as attorney's fees. Okay. Woo! We made it, y'all. We made it through this complaint. So listen, I am going to give you all a moment to let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to give you a moment. All right. I always like to give you a little second so that if you have some questions, you can drop them in the chat. Mm. All righty. And as a bit Tad says, smash that like button, family. The likes are free. Listen, the like is free. It don't cost you a thing. All right. So I'm just going to hang out for a moment while you all gather your thoughts, see if you have any questions. Sis Zakia says, thanks for the breakdown. You are absolutely welcome, my darling. And very early on in the chat, let me see if I can find it. I just received a message regarding my Cash app. So let me put that up for you all. Thank you, Nappy Yankee, for putting that up. I tend to forget sometimes, which is why when I come into the room, I like to try to, put my Cash App up first thing or else I forget. But yes, to the person who just messaged me asking about it, there you go. Okay, there is my Cash App. If you are interested in giving to the channel, if you feel called to, and also if you can. Okay, you're never obligated to. Okay. Alrighty, so now I'm going back down towards the questions. Nappy Yankee says, so you're saying they can go to jail? No, 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 no. This is a civil case. Okay, so no one is going to jail based upon this case. This is a civil lawsuit. Okay, alrighty. Any questions? Now, let me pull up the link that explains a little bit more about pump and dump, and I'm going to put that into the chat. Okay. If you're interested to really know a lot more about these schemes, because they are quite common, unfortunately. I just took a little sip of my water. Alrighty. So listen, we have been together for just about an hour. I do not see any other questions from you all just yet. All right. If you want me to go through the pump and dump document with you, put a 1 in the chat. If you feel like you get it and you can maybe go through it on your own time, then put a 2 in the chat. All right, and I'll give you all a moment to vote. If you vote 1, then I'll go ahead and head on out of here. Do 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 do. I'm gonna get a soundboard. I mean it, you guys. I'm gonna get a soundboard. I have to look into that. I wonder how much those cost. I have no idea. I am going to look into a soundboard so I can start playing you all sounds for moments like this. Do 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 do. All right, so Sis Sakia says she gets it. All right, listen, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I'm definitely gonna, as I said, it's my bedtime. Okay, so I am going to head on into the bed. I'm gonna go check out DJ Blanky and Nightclub Pillow. Okay, so I'm gonna head on out of here. Now it has been wonderful hanging out with you all per usual. I hope that you feel empowered by the legal information that was shared today. I hope that you know just how amazing and powerful you are. All right, be on the lookout for new content. We are doing different and exciting things in the 2022. Okay. And the new expose should be out pretty soon. Nappy Yankee, I am aware of what's going on with Cardi B and Tasha K. I will probably see if I can pop in tomorrow to talk about Cardi B and Tasha K with you all. I've just been having really busy weeks. And then, quite frankly, by the time I'm done with my typical work day, it takes a lot to muster up this whole going live thing. It really does. I'm not gonna lie. But I do it because I care about y'all. So what I'm gonna do in 2022 is find new ways to reinvent how I do this, right? To make it more feasible. So that's what we're gonna be doing in the 2022. Okay. Anywho, it has been wonderful, and I will see you all later.